Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Renegade Immortal based on novel. A day later, a youth covered in an evil aura stared at the ground covered with plants with a cold gaze. This person was the cultivator that rushed here from Hufen. If someone knew that this person had only spent a few months to travel from Hufen to the inner Sea of Devils, they would be horrified. The distance between Hufen and the Sea of Devils was enormous. Even Duanmu had to use an ancient transfer array. He once said that if he were to fly, it would take him hundreds of years with his spirit-severing cultivation level. As a result, this youth's speed was at an unimaginable level. Actually, the reason this youth got here so quickly had nothing to do with his soul transformation cultivation level. This was mainly due to his family's secret technique, the ghost search technique. The technique used many avatars to walk in all different directions, then fused back together, and gave all of the distances walked by each avatar to the main body. This way, his speed would be increased thousands-fold and allowed him to arrive in just 2 months. This person's gaze was dark as he stared at the plants below him while slowly descending. All of the plants remained motionless, as if they were dead as he landed. He looked at the broken transfer array. The transfer array was heavily damaged and couldn't be repaired anymore. This could be considered a wasted transfer array. The youth secretly sighed and muttered to himself, "There aren't many people in this planet that can open my bag of holding. It's just that with my current unstable cultivation, if I don't return to my home planet soon, my cultivation will drop even more." He slightly frowned and disappeared. The Kong continent, one of the 6 main continents of planet Suzaku. There were countless cultivation countries in the Kong continent, but most of them were rank 1 or 2 counties, with some rank 3, and very few rank 4. After all, the resources on this continent were too poor. At the border of the Kong continent and the Sea of Devils, there was a small border town. This town was not very large. The strongest person was only at the core formation stage. In this town, there was an ancient transfer array. This transfer array suddenly lit up and soon, Wang Lin's figure walked out of it. After he appeared, he immediately spread out his divine sense and checked out the whole town. The moment he spread out his divine sense, everyone in the town felt a chill run down their spine, but this feeling left as quickly as it came. Wang Lin withdrew his divine sense, then disappeared from the spot. He moved according to the map in his mind. Once he was thousands of kilometers away from the town, he slapped his bag of holding and the mosquito beast appeared before him. Wang Lin jumped onto its back. He sent out a message to the mosquito beast. It let out a roar and charged forward. His moved very quickly. Before long, Wang Lin sensed many locations filled with strong cultivators. Clearly, those locations were where the local sects were. Wang Lin didn't stop, he quickly made his way through this country. After 10 days, he had passed countless rank 1 and 2 cultivation countries and arrived at his destination, the second transfer array. Through this transfer array, he could quickly close the distance between him and Zhao. However, when he was 1,000 kilometers away from the transfer array, he slowly started to frown. According to the map, the transfer array was in a mountain, but Wang Lin could clearly feel that countless buildings had been built in the area. The area was also filled with spiritual energy. It was clearly a cultivation ground now. Wang Lin rode the mosquito beast toward the sect with complex feelings in his heart. When he was about 100 kilometers away from the sect, a short white light appeared, preventing him from entering the sect. Without him having to do anything, the mosquito beast let out a roar and pierced into the light with his sharp proboscis. Then, the beast inhaled and the pillar of light cracked and finally crumbled. As a result, the expressions of the few core formation cultivators, who were in closed-door training, suddenly changed as they quickly came out. They stared dumbfounded at Wang Lin and the mosquito beast under him. They quickly shouted at the disciples to stop the recruiting ceremony and quickly went to wait for Wang Lin's arrival in front of the main hall. The instant Wang Lin arrived, the 3 core formation cultivators quickly went up and respectfully said, "We greet Senior." The 3 of them were horrified. Although Wang Lin wasn't emitting any spiritual energy, they felt a pressure from him that caused their hearts to tremble. Especially the beast under Wang Lin's feet. It made them afraid that it would make a big disaster to fall upon them. Among the 3 core formation cultivators were 2 males and 1 female. Aside from one of the males who had white hair, the other 2 looked very young, especially the female cultivator. She looked very beautiful and graceful. However, you can't judge a cultivator by their appearance. Just look at Wang Lin. Although he looked like a youth, he was already more than 400 years old. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he scanned the three and asked, "What sect is this?" The old man among the three quickly and respectfully answered, "Senior, our sect is called Ziyun. If Senior needs anything, we will do our best to help." Wang Lin looked at the person and calmly said, "There used to be an ancient transfer array here. Does it still exist?" The old man was stunned. He pondered a little and said, "Senior, there are no ancient transfer arrays here." The moment he finished speaking, he felt a chill run down his spine. Wang Lin's whole aura suddenly turned cold as he slowly said, "Are you sure?" The old man's forehead was covered in cold sweat. After thinking for a bit, he was about to speak, but the graceful female cultivator cut him off and said, in a crisp voice, "Senior, was the location of the ancient transfer array on top of a mountain?" Wang Lin's gaze fell on the female cultivator. Although her looks couldn't compare to Li Muwen's, she was still fairly pretty, especially her face, which was as white as jade. Facing Wang Lin's gaze, the female's face slightly glowed red. She quickly said, "Senior, if that transfer array is on top of the mountain, then Junior knows of it. Lead the way." Wang Lin flew toward the top of the mountain. The woman quickly followed. The other two core formation cultivators hesitated for a bit, then followed as well. Under the guidance of the woman, they soon arrived at the top of the mountain. There was a large loft built here with bells hanging on the corners of the building. The bells rang very crisp and beautiful tones. After the female cultivator landed, her face reddened as she said, "Senior, this is Junior's home. This area was originally not of the Ziyun sect. That is why Senior apprentice brother didn't know about the ancient transfer array. Junior found a secret passage by luck and found that there was an ancient transfer array under the building." Wang Lin nodded. Before, when he scanned the area with his divine sense, he checked this area, but didn't find anything. Now, checking it at close range, he scanned with his divine sense and immediately found a small fluctuation of spiritual energy underground. Clearly, someone used a technique to hide the transfer array. He was very shocked. It has to be said that according to the map, this was only a rank 2 cultivation country, yet there was a technique that could almost fool his divine sense. He took out 2 cores of low-quality spirit beasts, and threw them at the female cultivator. He said, "Refine pills with them. They will help you with your cultivation." The female cultivator looked at the cores and was shocked. She revealed a look of ecstasy, as she felt the surge of spiritual energy within them. If she consumed the pill refined from them, she would be able to reach the late stage of core formation. She carefully accepted them and put them inside her bag of holding. The 2 core formation cultivators couldn't help but reveal looks of envy. Wang Lin glanced at the 2, then walked into the transfer array. He waved his hand and a fog blocked the people outside from looking in. Then, he took out a top-quality spirit stone and placed it into the socket. The transfer array lit up, and Wang Lin disappeared from the transfer array. The female cultivator looked at the empty transfer array with a hint of sadness in her heart. Suddenly, she remembered something and her face reddened again. Zhao was at the very edge of the Kong continent. It was not a large country. In fact, it was only half the size of Hufen. Although there were spirit veins, the production was very little and just enough to support the country, so even when they were open to mining, there was a limitation on the mining. Because of the scarcity of spirit veins, spirit herbs also became very rare. It could be said that Zhao was a very, very small border country. Nowadays, the number 1 sect in Zhao was the Xiandao sect, and its ancestor, Punan Zi, had reached the late stage of nascent soul all those years ago. In these 400 years, although he hadn't reached the spirit-severing stage, his cultivation level had greatly increased, and the other late-stage nascent soul cultivators weren't a match for him at all. In addition to the Xiandao sect, the orthodox sects of Zhao, like the ethereal sect, had not done as well as before and gradually became a second-class sect. At the same time, the Nirvana sect and Yuan Kuei sect also suffered the same fate. Because of Punnan Zi's existence, their sects had also been pushed to second class. As for the demonic sects, Heaven's Road sect, He Huan sect, and Wufeng sect, they had been doing better. Although they couldn't compare with Punnan Zi, they were ahead above the orthodox sects. It was just that under the strong grip of Punnan Zi, the demonic and orthodox sects of Zhao stopped fighting each other as much. Although there were still some conflicts, they were all small conflicts that never became big engagements. It could be said that the current Zhao was under Punnan Zi's complete control, slowly heading toward a rank 4 cultivation country. Once Punnan Z reaches the spirit-severing stage, becoming a rank 4 will easily come true. In addition to these sects, quite a few famous people had appeared in these 400 years. Like Xian Dao sect's genius, Wang Zhuo. This person only took 200 years to reach the core formation stage, and another 400 years to reach the late stage of core formation. This type of cultivation speed was very rare in Zhao. Beyond this, all of the other sects had geniuses that appeared, but compared to the Ting family, they weren't up to par at all. In the past 400 years, besides Punnan Z becoming well known, the other notable person was from the Ting family. Ting family's ancestor, Ting Huiyuan, was at the early stage of nascent soul 400 years ago. Then, with Punnan Z's help, he reached the late stage of nascent soul and became one of the top cultivators in Zhao. In Zhao, as long as one reached the nascent soul stage, they would receive a lot of power and a high status. Of course, this was only if they listened to Punnan Z's orders. Punnan Z set a rule that everyone in Zhao must follow. They must not care about how much resources they used. They must create one spirit-severing cultivator from the nascent soul cultivators to raise Zhao to a rank 4 country. With the increase in Ting Huayuan's cultivation level, the status of the Ting family also increased. The family's prospects increased and had many descendants, making them the number 1 cultivation family in Zhao. The descendants of the family were disciples of almost every single sect, and some of them even held a very high position in those sects. At the same time, Ting Huiyuan married off a lot of their daughters to geniuses in order to solidify the Ting family's foundation. Wang Zhuo became one of the Ting family's sons-in-law. It could be said that the Ting family had already been deeply integrated into the country of Zhao. It was not like no one had any idea about the Ting family, but most of the time, Ting Huiyuan didn't even need to act. Those with ideas against the Ting family would disappear. As for what Ting Huiyuan was doing, Punnan Z didn't question it a bit. He was wholeheartedly invested in trying to break into the spirit-severing stage. Ting family city had already been expanded 6 times in the past 400 years. It was now a huge city that was known throughout Zhao. There was a secret chamber 100 feet under Ting family city. The chamber had 10 times the spiritual energy of the outside. The reason for this was that it was on top of a spirit vein. Although this spirit vein wasn't large, it was more than enough for cultivation. Because the Ting family ancestor found out about this spirit vein, he used each time the city expanded to slowly dig a chamber for himself. This was something not even Punnan Z knew about, and only a few members of the Ting family knew about it. Only when someone was about to make breakthrough would they be allowed to use the chamber. On this day, inside the underground secret chamber, an old man with a head full of white hair opened his eyes, revealing a sharp gaze. This person's brow knitted. When he was cultivating, he suddenly felt a sense of bloodlust. This feeling caused the spiritual energy in his body to go into chaos. The old man pondered a little. His right hand formed a seal, and shot out a white light that floated before him. He quickly said a few complicated words, and soon, the white light flickered and shook before him. Gradually, his expression became more and more serious as he looked at the light. But just at that moment, the white light violently trembled. It went out of his control and dissipated without a trace. The old man's face suddenly became gloomy. He muttered to himself, "Strange, not even Punnan Z's spirit detecting technique is able to tell where the bloodlust is coming from." He pondered a little and a cold light flashed through his eyes. He thought, with my current cultivation level and connections in Zhao, even if the owner of this bloodlust comes here, I can easily get rid of them. This person was the Ting family ancestor that killed Wang Lin, Ting family's symbol, Ting Huiyuan. Thanks to the passage of time, he looked older. Although his cultivation level was higher, he was clearly very different from the person who made Wang Lin explode. His entire person felt much more subtle. This feeling was like someone who enjoyed to fight, became a very sly and cunning person overnight. There was a very stark contrast. He took a deep breath and disappeared from the secret chamber. When he reappeared, he was inside the Ting family's ancestral home. The Ting family's ancestral home was 3 stories tall with a dragon carved onto it. Overall, it looked very majestic and emitted waves of spiritual energy. When Ting Huiyuan appeared, he arrived at the 3rd floor. On the 3rd floor were countless tablets with names carved onto them. All of these names were names of core Ting family members who had died. Ting Huayuan's gaze swept across the tablets and landed on one that was on the top shelf. That tablet clearly read, Ting Li, in the past 400 plus years, every time he felt disturbed or upset, he would come here and look at that tablet. This had basically become one of his habits. After a long time, he waved his hand and the tablet flew into his hand. He wiped the tablet and muttered to himself, "Leah, you died too young. With your talent, if you were still alive, you would be at the nascent soul stage already," he sighed, put the tablet back, and turned around to leave. At that moment, outside Ting Family City, two sword lights were flying toward the city. 100 feet away from Ting Family City, the two sword lights landed, revealing a man and a woman. The man was middle-aged and slightly older, but still looked very handsome. He was clearly handsome and stunning in his youth. This person was wearing a robe full of white, and had the feel of a cultivator. The woman wasn't stunning, but emanated a very elegant aura. She was also wearing a white robe. Her eyebrows were locked. Clearly, she had some trouble in her mind. The middle-aged man raised his head and looked at Ting Family City, as a complex look flashed across his eyes. The woman sighed and whispered, "Wang Shuo, it has been many years since that happened. Can you still not just let go?" The middle-aged chuckled and blandly said, "Let go? If I can let go of the grudge of killing my mom, my dad, and my entire clan, then I, Wang Shuo, am not human." The woman pondered a little and whispered, "I only came back to see my younger sister. In 3 days, we will leave. In these 3 days, please don't be impulsive, okay, you can relax. Before I have the strength to kill that old thief, I won't act." The middle-aged man's voice was bland, and once he finished speaking, he walked forward. The woman secretly sighed, as she quickly followed and walked to Ting Family City with Wang Shuo. As the woman walked, she whispered, "Wang Shuo, you really shouldn't blame this matter on ancestor. The person you should hate is that Wang Lin. Even though he is dead, all of this was caused by him." The middle-aged man suddenly stopped. He turned around and said, word for word, "Ting Xiuxiu, I have already told you to never say the name Wang Lin in front of me. Today, I give you one last warning. If you dare to bring him up again, don't blame me for being ruthless." The woman pondered a bit and no longer spoke, but went into Ting Family City with Wang Shuo. At that moment, at the edge of Zhao, in an unknown valley, there were suddenly flashes of bright light. Slowly, the light faded. A white-haired youth walked out of the valley. On his forehead was a purple star. He looked at the land in the distance and then turned toward the east. He knelt down and mercilessly kowtowed a few times. A killing intent showing the 400-plus years of hatred flashed across his eyes as he muttered, "Father, mother, Taizhu came back. This time, I'll make a river of blood flow in Zhao. If I break this oath, let my soul be destroyed." A bolt of lightning flashed across the sky, sending out waves of thunder. In a wave of rushing raindrops, a layer of fog formed. Hengyu Mountain. The Xiandao sect was shrouded in rain and fog with bolts of lightning flashing down accompanied by the roar of thunder. The foliage made popping sounds as the rain poured down. On this rainy night, a white-haired youth walked slowly through the forest. Every step he took in the soaked foliage created a rustling sound. From a distance, this person looked at the Xiandao sect on top of Hengyu Mountain. After a long time, he withdrew his gaze. His target this time was a small village hundreds of kilometers away. In the middle of the night at the mountain village, besides the roaring thunder, there was only the sound of rain hitting the ground. Of course, there would be a few howls from some of the dogs raised by the villagers. It was as if they wanted to defy this weather. However, the only response was even louder thunder. The entire village was dark as the white-haired youth walked along the main road, looking at the familiar scene mixed with unfamiliar elements. His eyes were no longer filled with coldness, but with melancholy. This melancholy could even melt ice, as it was filled with an unimaginable amount of familial love. 400 years had passed in an instant. Although it didn't seem long for cultivators, it had been many generations for ordinary people. All of the houses in the village had been rebuilt by their descendants and now looked different from before. This person was Wang Lin. He looked around at the houses in the village. His gaze stopped at one house, remembering that there used to be a large tree there. He often read books and played with his friends under that tree. In the blink of an eye, all of that had disappeared. Wang Lin secretly sighed and slowly walked forward. After a short period of time, he stopped as he stared at a very familiar house. His body started to shake as he looked at the house. All of the other houses in the village had changed, but this house was still exactly the same as it was back then. Wang Lin bit his lower lip and opened the main gate. The gate creaked as it opened. He closed it after he entered. In the yard was a wooden table with several small wooden chairs under an overhang. Wang Lin silently watched the scene as tears fell from his eyes. After a long time, Wang Lin walked to the house, opened the door, and stepped inside. Everything was left as he remembered, as if nothing had changed. At the moment, Wang Lin felt like everything that had happened in the past 400 years was a dream and that he had just woken up. His parents were no longer dead and their souls weren't inside the heaven-defying bead. They were inside his house and they had gone to bed in this rainy night. However, with his divine sense, he knew without even spreading it out that there was no one inside this room. In the center of the main room, Wang Lin saw two memorial tablets, one above the other. The one above read, Wang Qianshui, Zhu Tingsu. The lower tablet read, eldest son, Wang Lin. Under the two memorial tablets was an incense burner with some unused incense sticks next to it. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with sadness, as he lit up 3 incense sticks and placed them in the incense burner. He slowly knelt on the ground. He mercilessly kowtowed a few times and muttered, "This unfilial son is here to offer incense this time. Next time, I'll build a tower made of the Ting family's heads for my parents." An aura of killing intent escaped from Wang Lin. The room instantly became even colder than the rainy night outside. After he finished, he pondered for a while, then suddenly moved and disappeared from the spot. Soon, the carriage got close to the house. The old man let out a shout and tightened his hold on the reins. The horses let out a cry as their front legs went up into the air and the carriage stopped in front of Wang Lin's home. The old man jumped off the carriage and respectfully opened the door. The moment the door opened, a girl jumped out of the carriage. She was wearing a green shirt, her hair was tied up in a bun, and she looked very pretty. After the girl got out of the carriage, her body shivered. Clearly, the coldness of the weather had gotten to her. However, she didn't mind. She opened up an umbrella and said, with a crisp voice, "My lady, we are here." An exquisite figure came out of the carriage and stood under the umbrella. This girl's face was pale. It had the look of a sickly beauty. The moment she came out, her body shivered. The servant girl quickly held the umbrella in one hand and grabbed a large purple coat from the carriage with her other hand. With the help of the old man, they placed the coat on the young woman. At the same time, the servant girl said, with discontent, "My lady, why did we have to come here tonight in the rain? We could have just come tomorrow instead. What if you catch a cold?" Even the old man's eyes showed a sign of regret in his warm gaze. That young lady smiled. As she walked, she said, "You guys don't know this, but before grandfather died, he said that no matter what happens, a descendant must come here to visit this place on this day. It is a family tradition." The servant was still not happy and said, "My lady, this place is so far from the capital. Why must we come here every day? Could there be something important hidden here? I heard from the other servant that this place used to be one of the Wang family's branch locations." The young lady stopped the old man from opening the gate and raised her own jade-like hand to push it open. She smiled at the servant girl and said, "This is the first time you've come with me, so you don't know. When we have time, I'll tell you." After entering the courtyard, the 3 of them didn't hesitate and immediately entered the house. The servant girl closed the umbrella, shook the water off it, then curiously looked around the room. As for the old man, he silently stood at the doorway. The young lady took a deep breath. Just as the servant girl was about to walk up, the young lady stopped and said, "You wait with Grandpa Li out here. I'll go in myself." Wang Lin didn't even glance at the old man that passed out and blandly said, "I'll ask you again, whose descent are you?" In reality, the moment he saw his house, he already had a suspicion. It was impossible for the house to remain the same without someone taking care of it. Although the house looked the same, it had been rebuilt to look like what it was before. The young lady revealed a determined look. She clenched her teeth and said, "My father is Wang Yun. Since you already followed me here, why even bother asking these questions?" Wang Lin frowned and asked, "What do the people whose names are carved on these tablets have to do with you? It's the ancestral home of my ancestor's brother." The young lady was very confused. If he was someone sent by one of her father's enemies, why was he asking these questions? Wang Lin's heart shook. His voice was no longer bland. It instead trembled a bit as he asked, "What is the name of your ancestor?" The young lady hesitated a bit and answered, "Ancestor's name is Tian Tu. She felt that this person was very strange. After Wang Lin heard the name, his body immediately shook. He muttered, "Fourth uncle." Speaking of the Wang family, aside from Wang Lin's own parents, the one he cared the most for was fourth uncle. After hearing news of fourth uncle, he couldn't help but become excited. Scenes of fourth uncle replayed in Wang Lin's head. After a long time, he sighed and looked at the young lady. His gaze was filled with a complex emotion, a look one would have when looking at their own descendant. He slowly said, "Your ancestor, at what age did he die?" The strange look on the young lady's face became even deeper, as she answered, "Ancestor died at the age of 98. When he was middle-aged, he caught the attention of an immortal of the Piao Miao sect. After he got off the mountain, he started his life in the capital, and became one of the vassals of the royal family. That was also when the foundation of the Wang family started." There was a hint of relief in his eyes as he asked, "Fourth, your ancestor's son, Wang Hu, also died?" The young lady's eyes were shocked as she muttered, How do you know about the ancestor's son, Wang Hu?" 3 years after the ancestor died, he also died. Time passes and people come and go. After Wang Lin heard about fourth uncle, his mentality underwent a change. After a long time, he looked at the young lady and slowly said, "There is harmful yin energy inside your body. Was your mother injured when she was pregnant with you?" After hearing Wang Lin's words, the young lady's mind was in complete chaos. It has to be said that if Wang Lin had carefully inspected her and had some clues, then it would have made sense if he managed to guess some of her secrets. However, very few people knew about the yin energy in her body and most just thought that she was born with a weak body. The young lady looked at Wang Lin. She asked, with a trembling voice, "Who the hell are you?" The young lady had already thrown out the idea that he was an assassin sent by her father's enemies. If he was, why would he know so many things? Wang Lin waved his right hand and a cloud of green mist started to gather at the young lady's forehead. The color of the cloud became deeper and deeper, until Wang Lin finally waved his hand and the gas disappeared without a trace. The young lady suddenly felt her body warm up. The coldness that had bothered her for 20+ years disappeared with just a wave of his hand. This suddenly reminded her of a type of person from the myths. The young lady bit her lower lip and asked, You are an immortal?" Wang Lin chuckled, "Immortal, sort of." Seeing that fourth uncle had descendants, and that they were doing well in the capital, Wang Lin couldn't help but feel relieved. After leaving the village, the warmth on Wang Lin's face disappeared as he became more serious. His entire body emitted a strong murderous aura. He quickly flew in one direction. His heart was set on completing his revenge. If he directly killed Ting Huiyuan, then all of the descendants would scatter, preventing Wang Lin from achieving his dream of wiping out the Ting family. Most importantly, if he simply killed Ting Huiyuan, it wouldn't appease the anger in his heart. He wanted Ting Huiyuan to watch as he killed all of his descendants, to suffer through the pain of having your family killed. Only after that would Wang Lin finally kill Ting Huiyuan. He spread out his divine sense and easily covered the entire country of Zhao. He easily found Ting family city where Ting Huiyuan was and flew toward it like lightning. Wang Lin stopped 10,000 kilometers away from Ting family city. He stuck a formation flag into the ground and with a wave of his hand, the flag disappeared. Then, Wang Lin flew around the Ting family city and placed 16 formation flags. He stared at Ting family city with eyes filled with bloodlust, let out a cruel smile, and whispered, "Starting today, one can enter Ting family city, but they can't leave. Ting Huiyuan, my revenge has just started." His eyes were cold as he quickly formed seals with his hand. He floated up into the air. As he let out a roar, he quickly hit pressure points on his own body. Soon, a green gas came out of his body and wrapped around him. Behind him, a figure that looked like an ancient demon god appeared. Wang Lin put one knee on the ground. He poked his right finger and a drop of blood appeared. He shouted, "Ting Li's soul, appear." Suddenly, the illusionary demon god opened its mouth and swallowed the drop of blood. Then, it spat out a weak, green light. The green light slowly descended. Wang Lin caught the green light, and the illusionary demon god slowly disappeared. This was a small technique he learned from the memories he inherited from the ancient god. This technique allowed him to recover the soul of anyone he had killed. However, the soul would only last half an hour. The returned soul didn't have any memories, only some basic instincts. To the ancient god, it was a useless technique that could only really be used to temporarily increase the power of magical treasures. But the moment Wang Lin found this technique, he came up with a series of revenge plans. Holding Ting Li's soul, Wang Lin swallowed it without a second thought, and covered the entire country of Zhao in his divine sense again. Slowly, one bright dot after another appeared in Wang Lin's divine sense with the help of Ting Li's soul. Each of those bright dots represented someone with Ting family blood in their body. These people, no matter if they were from the main branch, sub-branch, or were descendants of Ting family females that married out, they all appeared in Wang Lin's divine sense. It could be said that as long as they had any Ting family blood in them at all, Wang Lin had found them. Wiping out a family was not something as simple killing all of the Ting family members. Wang Lin must kill anyone with Ting family blood to wipe out all descendants of the Ting family. That is what it truly means to wipe out a family. Gradually, more and more bright dots appeared in Wang Lin's divine sense, and his smile became more and more cruel. Throughout the years, the number of descendants of the Ting family had already reached an unimaginable degree, and every single one of their soul signatures was memoized by Wang Lin. Half an hour passed in an instant and Ting Li's soul that was devoured by Wang Lin dissipated. Wang Lin's right hand slapped his bag of holding and the mosquito beast suddenly appeared. He stood on the mosquito beast and flew toward the closest sect. There was a total of 7 Ting family members there. Ting Xian was one of the 6th-generation disciples of the Ting family. He had already reached the early stage of core formation. One of the reasons he had gotten this far was because he was from the Ting family. The other reason was that he entered the sect as a disciple of one of Tian Dao sect's nascent soul ancestors. The Ting family had a total 6 family members in the Tian Dao sect, and all of them had considerable status in the sect. Of course, the one with the highest position was still Ting Xian. After all, the other 5 were only at the foundation establishment stage. Ting Xian was very satisfied with what he had, whether it was his cultivation partner or his current position. Of course, all of this was nothing compared to the core members of the Ting family. But he knew his own limitations, and that those were not people he could compete with. Even among the countless Ting family members, how many could really compete with those geniuses? Ting Xian only wished to reach the late stage of core formation before he dies. Today, his little sister, Ting Yu, will be visiting him. When he thought of his little sister, his lower half heated up. He and his little sister had a great secret. They had slept together when they were young and have kept doing so in secret. Ting Xian knew that his little sister was very lewd. As they grew up, many other Ting family members had a taste of her, and even some family members of the previous generation have had some affairs with her. But he didn't care. Whenever he thought of the bedroom techniques his little sister had learned in the He Huan sect, he just couldn't wait. He quickly arrived at the loft in the back mountain with those heated thoughts in his head. He opened the door and suddenly, a very seductive body emitting a soft fragrance landed in his arms. Wang Lin traveled quickly and soon saw the sect on top of the mountain peak. The 3 words on top of the main entrance read, Qiandao sect. Wang Lin didn't stop at all and charged toward the sect. Suddenly, a light screen appeared as the ground formation protecting the sect activated to block Wang Lin. Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and the restriction flag appeared in his hand. Wang Lin shook the flag and dozens of restrictions shot toward the light screen. Without any hesitation, the light screen broke and a rumbling sound spread throughout the Qiandao sect as rocks and dust flew all over the place. Almost instantly, the few nascent soul ancestors came out of their closed-door training and looked at the sky in shock. At the same time, Wang Lin jumped off the mosquito beast. His gaze quickly fell on one of the disciples of the Qiandao sect in the square outside the main hall. The youth was terrified. Wang Lin let out a cruel smile. He waved his hand and the youth flew toward him. The youth's hand was around his own neck as he struggled and tried to say something. It was unfortunate, but he shouldn't have been named Ting. Wang Lin squeezed his right hand and with a cracking sound, the youth's eyes bulged and he immediately died. Wang Lin's left hand slapped his bag of holding and took out a soul flag that absorbed the soul of this Ting family member. Wang Lin threw the youth's body behind him. At the same time, a long dragon banner flew out of his bag of holding. The banner wrapped around the body. The banner was held by the mosquito beast. All of this happened in plain view of the entire Qiandao sect. Wang Lin killed this person quickly and cleanly. Then, he charged into the main hall toward another youth. The youth had a look of indignation and his fists were clenched. After this, he would never have the chance to unclench them. All of this was because his name was Ting. Wang Lin's right palm hit the youth's head. The youth's internal organs were destroyed and his soul was taken away by the soul flag. There was no pity in Wang Lin's eyes as his body moved again. At that moment, the nascent soul cultivators of the sect had caught up. A red-faced man quickly appeared before Wang Lin. Although he was frightened, he quickly said, "Fellow cultivator, please stop. If there is any problem, we can talk about it." Wang Lin didn't even look at the person. His G-realm immediately moved and in a flash, the red-faced man's eyes went dim. As Wang Lin moved past him, he hit him, causing his body and nascent soul to shatter into pieces and fall to the ground. A voice as cold as winter came out of Wang Lin's mouth. "Anyone who tries to stop me has committed the same crime as the Ting family." The hearts of the surrounding nascent soul cultivators suddenly shivered. They froze and didn't dare to move again. Wang Lin left the main hall and flew within the sect. The nascent soul cultivators all hesitated. One of them took out a piece of jade, imprinted a message on it, then threw it out. The jade quickly flew away and disappeared into the distance. Then, the nascent soul cultivators all looked at each other. They bit their lower lips and decided to follow Wang Lin. Although they didn't dare to stop Wang Lin, if they didn't even dare to follow him, then they really weren't fit to be nascent soul ancestors. A very beautiful woman was flying toward the Qiandao sect with a panicked expression. She didn't want to die. Her eyes were filled with fear. She didn't want to die, but her name was Ting. Wang Lin ruthlessly crushed the woman's spine. After collecting her soul, he threw her body backward. The dragon banner once again flew out and wrapped around the body. At the moment, there were 3 bodies on the dragon banner. Wang Lin didn't stop. Of the 4 people remaining, 2 of them were in the back mountain, and the other 2 were running away. One of them was almost out of the Qiandao sect's formation's range. Wang Lin's eyes were as cold as ice. He moved and instantly appeared outside the Qiandao sect. He saw a youth frantically flying and constantly looking back. However, the head that the youth turned back would never have a chance to turn back around again, because his name was Ting. Wang Lin flicked his finger at the youth's chest. The youth's body shook and he immediately died. Wang Lin trapped the youth's soul, threw the body back toward the dragon banner, then flew toward his next target. The nascent soul cultivators following close behind him were horrified. They all had the same thought: when did the Ting family offend a fiend like this? This fiend's cultivation was at an unimaginable level, yet he didn't go fight Ting Huiyuan. Instead, he was here killing the Ting family descendants. Clearly, he had a very deep grudge against the Ting family and wanted to wipe out the entire family. These nascent soul cultivators felt a chill in their heart, and their steps unconsciously slowed down. Wang Lin's eyes were still cold as killing intent slowly surrounded his body. He let out a cruel smile as he locked onto the fifth person. This person was the oldest out of everyone here. His hair was already all white, but his cultivation level wasn't very high, only at the peak of foundation establishment. The old man's face didn't show any signs of panic or grief, but instead had a very serious expression. As he was flying, he repeatedly took out message transmission jades, filled them with a bit of his divine sense, then threw them out. However, his fate had already been decided because his name was Ting. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.